If you're thinking of getting an infrared sauna for your home, one of the most important things to think about are the electrical requirements. This can be confusing and intimidating at first glance, but my goal today is to break it down in a way that's simple and easy for anyone to understand. And to help you get a feel for what size saunas are going to work with what different levels of electricity, we'll look at the different power requirements of the models in the Clearlight Saunas line. A basic home outlet is typically supplied by a 15 amp line. This means that you'll have one breaker in your breaker box that runs to usually several different outlets, supplying a maximum of 15 amps of power across all of those outlets. If you plug in so many things into those outlets that you're using more than 15 amps, it'll trip the breaker, and that's when you have to unplug some of those things before you can restore power to that area. But for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'm going to assume that you're not going to have something major like a treadmill or a blow dryer running on the same line as the sauna at the same time as the sauna is in use. So the first big question is this: where you're planning to put the sauna, do you have a 15 or a 20 amp line? As I was saying, 15 amp is standard, but more often than you would expect, people have 20 amp lines. There's an easy way to check. If you look in your breaker box and find the switch that corresponds with where you're going to be putting the sauna, it's either going to have a 15 or a 20 written right on the tip of the switch. Usually the switches are labeled so you know where it corresponds to in the house, but if they're not labeled, just plug in a lamp or a phone charger or something basic like that into the outlet where the sauna is going to be going. Then have a friend or a family member stand by that outlet and wait with you on the phone while you flip the switches in the breaker box one at a time. When you flip the switch and it turns off the lamp or the phone charger, you know you found the right switch. So let's assume you have a 15 amp line. With this, you could look at getting the Premier IS1, Premier IS2, or Sanctuary 1 models. But if you're lucky and you have a 20 amp line, now this opens up the possibilities of the Premier IS3 or the Sanctuary 2. Here's an image of what the 20 amp plug and outlet are going to look like. Now, if you have a 20 amp line because you have that 20 amp switch in your breaker box, but just a normal looking 15 amp style plug, there's two things you can do. You can either have an electrician install a 20 amp receptacle for you that will accept the 20 amp plug shape, or you can buy a little adapter for the outlet on Amazon. These adapters cost about $7. I'll put a link to one down in the description. If you have a 15 amp line, but you want a sauna that needs a 20 amp line, this is usually a pretty straightforward job for an electrician to get it set up. Now, moving up to the next level of saunas, these are going to require a 240 volt 20 amp line, which will almost always mean that you need to have some work done by an electrician. Here's an image of what this kind of plug and outlet look like. This category is going to get you into the Sanctuary 3, Sanctuary 5, Sanctuary Retreat, Sanctuary Outdoor 2, and Sanctuary Outdoor 5. Usually, the cost of this kind of electrical work isn't too bad, maybe a few $100s, but sometimes there can be some extenuating circumstances that can make it a bit pricier. Now keep in mind, if you get a quote from one electrician that seems pretty high, you can always get a second quote from somebody else just to be sure you're not getting burned. One other important factor is the accessories that you're adding to the sauna. There's two accessories with Clearlight Saunas that in certain cases can change the sauna's electrical requirements. The full spectrum door heater and the red light therapy tower are the ones that I'm talking about. So if you add either of these to the Premier IS1, it doesn't make any difference. If you add it to the Premier IS2 or the Sanctuary 1, it's going to increase the electrical requirement from a 15 amp line to a 20 amp line. If you add it to the Sanctuary 2, it's going to increase that requirement to a 30 amp line. Here's what that looks like. It is pretty rare and almost definitely will need to be installed by an electrician. Now, I'm curious. Let me know in the comments what size and model of sauna you're thinking of getting. And if you found this helpful, do me a big favor and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. It doesn't cost you a penny and it's hugely helpful for us. Also, if you have any questions about infrared saunas that you'd like me to cover in future videos, definitely let me know in the comments. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time.